when he sentenced April 8th. Steve Vaughn, ONN.
Jury selection begins in Columbus today for the murder trial of former Dr. William Husel, accused of giving fatal drug overdoses to more than a dozen hospital patients. I'm Dave James on the Ohio News Network.
Live and local conversation for the Ohio Valley continues shortly, here on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Attorney Tom McIntyre.
Life. It may knock you down, but you don't have to say that way. I'm Tom McIntyre. I'm a bankruptcy attorney, and I'm here to help you. Give us a call, and we'll send you a copy of my free book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. It's an interesting read, and it'll explain bankruptcy to you like no other book does. Give us a call. We're here to help.
Call Thomas E. McIntyre and Associates at 304-232-8600. Allow us to help put you back on the road to financial success.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
You make 35,000 decisions every day. Are your gambling decisions good ones? If you struggle with a problem with gambling, call 1-800-589-9966 for free confidential support. Do you have a loved one who struggles with a problem with gambling? This 24/7 helpline also provides resources on how to support a loved one who may need help. Call 1-800-589-9966 or visit beforeyoubet.org.
As the world gets back on track, now's the time to look forward and make bold, life-changing decisions. If you're ready to complete your college degree or pursue your master's like an MBA, Ohio Dominican University offers a range of innovative programs that match your goals. And with both fully online and on-campus evening formats available, pursuing your degree at ODU also fits your life. Classes are forming now. Get started at ohiodominican.edu. That's ohiodominican.edu.
Now is the time to explore Toyota's wide range of all-wheel and four-wheel drive vehicles. Like the brand new Corolla Cross with available all-wheel drive and more cargo room than ever. Or go off-road in a rugged new 4Runner. Visit your Toyota dealer today. Or go online to buyatoyota.com, the official website for deals. Hurry, offers end February 28th. Toyota, let's go places.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts. The best in live and local talk returns momentarily on the Watchdog.
Hello, everyone, from the Watchdog. I am the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Monday. Mostly cloudy skies, a cold day with a high near 28 degrees. Partly to mostly cloudy overnight, 17 for the low. A warmer day in store for your Tuesday with temperatures in the upper 40s under partly to mostly sunny skies. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Conversations you care about with people you know. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe on WKKX and WVLY.
Happy Valentine's Day. Temperature, Arid is calling it a cold Valentine's Day. And he's got 26, the predicted high for the day today. But I tell you, temperature has been moving up quickly. We started out at 19 last hour at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. We are up to 25 at the airport. I'm not even going to try and guess what it is here at my home studios. I think my weather station that I use here at home must have gone Zuki Biff, because when I pulled up the weather station here at home to check my temperature here at the home studios, it said 81 degrees. I'm guessing that's not right.
Little off.
I don't believe it's 81 degrees here, so something is a little bit off. So we shan't use my home studio temperature or the downtown temperature. I think those weather stations are off. But 25 is what the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport calls for. And there is a little bit, just a tiny little layering of snow out there. No big deal, but it did come down. I did get a text earlier this morning suggesting that, was it Benwood Hill, I think? Slick up on Benwood Hill on Route 86. And again, I had seen a couple of Facebook notes that there were some slick roads out there, so I do want you to be aware of that. Looking forward to your thoughts on the most romantic place to have dinner in the Ohio Valley for Valentine's Day. 304-214-1600. 304-214-1600. I can't take my wife out tonight because we've got some other things to do. We went to Red Lobster over the weekend. I don't know that I would call it romantic, but God, love the lobster lover's dream. Oh, most expensive thing on the menu. But then again, I had a gift card that paid for it, so I was very happy, Biff. Very happy I could get my big meal and didn't feel like I was, spending too much money. But I don't know that I call it romantic. I think it's a nice place to go. Food is great. Romantic, couple of places I've gotten are Figueretti's have been suggested. Abby's have been suggested. Pike 40 has been suggested as romantic places to go. All those are good. What do you have as a romantic place? 304-214-1600 or 304-232-8255. Who's on the line with me, Biffy?
Gene.
Gene is here. Good morning, Gene.
Good morning, Howard. How are you this morning?
Hold on a second. All my parts are in place.
Hey, before I get into the game, can I give you a little something? I didn't call you last week, but I want to tell you something. For 4 days that you guys were off the air, we had, there's no communication, no nothing. You had to find the news someplace, and you guys always have some kind of news during the day or somebody's talking. But for 4 days, you guys were off. That was terrible.
I am so sorry. Remember, you can find us online. We were online if you have the streaming audio version, or you can find me on Facebook. You can look there. But, when the power was out to our transmitters. Yep.
Here's the thing. I don't deal with none of that stuff. I don't know nothing about none of that stuff. It's crazy.
I got you.
They got me a cell phone. They got me a cell phone, and the only thing I use it for is if they call me when I'm out grocery shopping, or I call them or something happens. That's it. I don't know nothing about that other junk. But anyhow.
It's not a flip phone, is it, Gene? Not one of those flip phones.
No, it's a regular, I don't know.
It's a
I don't know what the hell it is. Anyhow, excuse me. Anyhow, I keep telling them I'm on a 5G because that's all I see on TV is 5G, 5G, 5G. Anyhow.
I don't know what that means, but I want one too, so.
Yeah, well, that's all they advertise on TV. Anyhow. I was sitting there watching the preliminaries to the game and going over between the NFL Network and ESPN. I remember when we used to get up in the morning and ESPN was on all day.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Them two, they're a joke. All they do is laugh and giggle and act like idiots. But anyhow, they're terrible. The game.
Yes, sir.
I thought the game was quite good. And then I got to thinking, 56 years, I've never missed a game. That's a hell of a long time.
That is a heck of a streak.
Now, let me ask you something, Howard. How long have you been on the air?
Well, over half a century.
Well, let me tell you. We started calling you the Painters. We used to call you every morning.
I remember.
And we always had
I remember.
We had a good time. And I was thinking, I never missed a game 56 years. I'm 77. Never missed a game. And then we used to call Howard Monroe. Wonder how long he was on. How long has that been? 40 years? I've been calling you. I've been in contact with you, either talking to you or I haven't talked for a long time on the radio, but I mean, I've listened to you for what, 40 years?
Oh, well, I started in 1968, just doing part-time and weekend work and stuff. And I started full-time right after I graduated from college in 1972. So it's been a long time. It's been a long time, Jim.
If you you don't mind me asking, how old are you, Howard?
I'm tempted to do the old, how old do you think? I'm 68.
So I got you. I'm 77. But I've been listening to you for years and years and years. Now let's get to the game. I thought the game was just the way I thought it was going to be. I thought they were going to both play safe and not try to go crazy. I really wanted Cincinnati to win because I'm from Cincinnati. I'm from Ohio. But I kind of felt that the Rams had every advantage. The home team, they play there all the time. And I was pretty well right on that. I said the last team that had the ball in the last half of the fourth quarter, because that's the way it's been for the past, month?
Yeah.
Whoever had the ball at the end of the game won the game.
Yeah, the playoffs were very much like the game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now let's get to the commercials. I thought they all stunk. I couldn't stand any of them. Now, I did catch, they did have the Clydesdale.
Yeah, I missed the Clydesdales. I didn't see that.
Well, it was a Clydesdale, and it fell against the wire fence, hurt its ankle. Then a dog come and helped it, and they took it, wrapped its leg, and they rode off into the sunset with a dog chasing it, and that was it.
Somehow that just sounds so boring or so sad.
It was. I thought now the only other thing that I got was, they had all the electric cars, the dog that was in the department store, and it chased the car every place to get back to the car, but its battery was going low, and then it had to get charged up to get to the car. I thought that was really hilarious. I thought that was so junk.
My favorite one, but it had nothing really to do with the product. I love the Chevy. Wasn't the Volt? Anyways, the Chevrolet electric car because it was the takeoff on The Sopranos. I love The Sopranos.
Yeah, that was good. I caught that. I thought, oh my God, they're going to have The Sopranos back on.
That's exactly what I thought at the beginning too. So yeah, that was probably my favorite ad. I don't care so much about the car. The car didn't make any difference to me, but just recreating that opening of The Sopranos with Meadow and AJ this time around. That was really cool to me.
Let's get to the halftime show. Oh my God! I wish I could have taped that. I would have watched that every day for the next 100 years. I love Snoop Dogg. He grabbed his crotch. I love Snoop Dogg.
Gene, do I sense a small bit? Wait a minute. Do I sense a small bit of sarcasm in your voice?
No, Snoop Dogg. They put his hands on the Walk of Fame. What the hell has he ever done except advertise Corona?
Well, he's done it quite well. Whatever he's done it quite well, Gene.
Oh my God, where have I gone wrong?
Here's my comment about the halftime show, and I learned this from my judging of the chili contest here in Wheeling. When I started judging the chili contest, I would always go, "Oh God, that's terrible!" if I didn't like a chili, and then eventually they told me, "You don't say that. You say, not to my taste." So let me just say this about the halftime show last night: not to my taste. That's
you're right. Not to my taste. Valentine's Day. When my wife wakes up, I'll tell her Happy Valentine's Day, give her a hug, and if there's any place I'd rather eat, is here.
Honey, I love you. Cook me some food. I got it. Hey, Gene, I got to run. I appreciate your call. Don't be a stranger. Call again, please. Okay.
I will. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Gene and the Painters from a long time ago. It's 8:20 after the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. A Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, two of our big topics this morning. But also, we've been spending a lot of time talking about Charleston and the state legislature, and I wanted to get the take of Delegate Lisa Zukoff on what's happening down there. Lisa's with us right now. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, Howard. Thanks for having me this morning. How are you?
Good. Does it bother you to be in Charleston on like on a Valentine's Day? I mean, because you're not with the people you love.
Of course it does. But I was home yesterday. My husband got me beautiful flowers, as he always does, and so we celebrated yesterday. And it's But that's part of the service, is being away from your family, and that's the hardest part. It was nice being home this weekend. It's the first time all session that we haven't had bad weather on the way home. So last weekend before last, I didn't go home until Saturday because of the roads, and we didn't have power, and none of my family members had power. We live out on the hilltops, and we thankfully have a whole house generator, so everybody was able to come over to our house off and on, and our granddaughter stayed with us for the weekend. So I ended up going home Saturday. Yeah,
that's fun. Lisa, there's a lot going on down there, and I want to get your take on several specific things. But let me. This session has depressed me so badly. I just, every time I turn around, I feel like I'm being slapped in the face by something else ridiculous and stupid. But sometimes I know that you keep a more positive attitude. So let me ask you, has anything good come out of this session yet?
Well, I think that we are seeing some movement on trying to diversify our economy with, and I love coal. Don't get me wrong, Howard. It's a mainstay of my county's economy. But I think we're starting to move into some other types of power, some renewables. And I think it's critical that if we want to move forward, as a state, that we have to embrace that as well. And so I think we're starting to move forward that way. And that's hopeful to me. I think that will allow us to do some diversification of our economy. I'm relatively optimistic about higher education, about the change to the grant formula funding. They worked with all of the colleges across the state and universities to come up with this new structure for funding, and it's tied to your funding is tied to your performance, and I'm always about that. Those are the things I think are positive about it. I, like you, and my glass is always half full kind of gal, but it's been a pretty depressing session, buddy.
It's, every time I think they being the Republican leadership, every time I think they can't do something even more stupid, they turn around and do it. I couldn't believe, in fact, I had to do a double check to make sure it wasn't a joke or something when I saw last week that they were talking about repealing the ratification of the ERA.
Oh.
What the hell is that all about? What in God's name is that about?
And somebody sent me an email over the weekend that I needed to be supportive of that, of what the Senate did to save abortion rights. And I said, can you explain to me, or to save folks not having the right to an abortion? And I said, I'm sorry, I thought this was about equal rights. I didn't realize it was about one specific topic. Can you please explain? I never heard back from them. So, Howard, honestly, I try to do my work really well down here, and when I get home, I need that break. So I didn't do a lot of reading about it, or I just don't know what instigated that, the need for that to happen. But as a female person in West Virginia that makes up 51% of our population, feels like a slap in the face to me, no matter what the reason. So I just don't get it. And I guess the biggest disappointment for me, and I try not to be, I think there's enough divisiveness in our country, in our state. I try not to make it about Democrats and Republicans. I try to just be for the people that elected me to be down here and do what's best for them. But I just feel like we are wasting so much time on bills that don't mean anything just to get a base of people to be riled up to vote. And that's not the purpose of government. The purpose of government is to try to improve people's lives. And quite frankly, I'm getting ready today to offer an amendment on second reading to the 15-week abortion ban. To make an exception for rape and incest. This will be the third time. I just can't believe that we are going to punish. I specifically worry about everyone who's been raped, but 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old girls who, were forced to have sex with someone, who were traumatized, often in a violent manner, and we are going to take away that option for them. They're afraid to tell someone. They don't know. No one knows they're pregnant until they're showing, and then their time to take action for that. And you can say that that's the life of the baby is more important, to me, that's trading one life for another. And I just can't do that in all good conscience. And honestly, it kind of ticks me off that we have, 85% of the people down here making these decisions are men, and they're never going to have to deal with that. So I just feel pretty passionate about this. And, I believe that life begins at conception. We can go through all of those issues. I just can't go there on this issue. And we had a
But your
14-year-old
amendment probably, I'm guessing, I haven't seen your amendment, but I'm guessing it probably doesn't have a very good likelihood of success. I mean, the numbers just aren't working in your favor these days.
No, it's failed in the Health Committee and it's failed in the Judiciary Committee last week. But, let's start putting real people to real issues that come. We had a 14-year-old girl that, was raped and incest in Marshall County years ago that this happened to, and she wouldn't have been able to make the decision of her family. And it's just, to me, that's a stand I'm willing to die on. So if people are willing to, if that upsets people and they don't want to vote for me next time, then that's okay. Then they won't. But I just feel really strongly about this. To me, you're going to traumatize someone who's already been through the violence, trauma, the heartbreak of being violated, and then you're going to force them to carry a child for 9 months and relive that pain every single day. I just can't wrap my head around that, Howard.
You say you don't, and I respect you for not wanting to try to create division and try to point fingers and so on, but I will. The Republican leadership that has the supermajority has been growing in their arrogance, that's my word, not yours, in their arrogance in the past couple of years, to the point that this year, Lisa, a lot of times when asked, why are you doing this, whatever this may be, from the critical race theory bill to the ERA and so on, the basic answer is because we can. I mean, why are you? What's the reasoning behind this? What's the rationale behind this? What's the need for this? We've got the votes. That's the answer we get.
Yeah.
We can do it, so
Exactly.
we will.
And it's frustrating to be down here because they don't defend their positions. They say nothing in committee. They say nothing on the floor. Very little to defend why they're doing this. And then we make our stance, and then they just vote it down. And they know that going forward. I've always felt like this, and I don't care who has the majority, Democrats or Republicans. Government does not work well with supermajorities. You need a balance of power to make our system work properly. That's what the forefathers, that's how they designed it. I think you just see, it's just there. So many bills that we've had in committee this year. Like they passed a bill out of health that no hospitals or state-funded anything can require that you have to have a vaccine. You have to show your vaccine to get in, to go to an event. We're not doing that in West Virginia. So why do we need to pass that bill? No one's making that happen. I just don't understand. But you know what they say, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So that's the only thing I can figure out.
And you're seeing a lot of that in the legislature. The House Education Committee approved this constitutional amendment to make school board contests political contests. They are now nonpartisan school board contests. As I understand it, I think this would have to go to a constitutional amendment and voted on by the people. But it begins the process of turning school board elections into political elections, which is bad enough as it is. It's become a political football anyways. I mean, listen to some of the school board meetings across the state, and they become political footballs. To make it truly political elections, I think is a mistake. What about you?
I agree wholeheartedly. But let's take the divisiveness clear to the beginning of the school process. I personally feel that there is a war on education in West Virginia. You'll never convince me otherwise. We have almost 1,200 a teacher shortage of 1,200. We have been, and frankly, Amy Summers and one of the other Republican nurses, Delegate Tully, have been doing everything in their power to help nurses this session, and good for them. You know, that's their career, and that's important. But we also have another profession out there. We have the teachers who, you know, when they're talking about messing with their leave, this critical race theory bill, guys, and the transparency. If you've ever been in a real classroom, which I have, I've done student teaching, I've never taught, but I've done a lot of work volunteering in classrooms. You know, the best discussion, the best learning takes place when kids ask questions and delve down into a subject. You know, and you may have a lesson plan, but let me tell you, if you're a good teacher and the kids didn't get a lesson and you have to go back and reteach something and come up with a different avenue, a different way to teach it so that they get it, or if something's really flowing in the classroom and the kids are engaged and want to learn more, then you might change your lesson plan tomorrow, Howard, to continue that discussion because it's helping them to learn, and that's your job as a teacher. I am just baffled. I am baffled, and my heart's sick about it, quite frankly.
When I think about my own education in school, the classes I remember and the teachers I remember are the ones who took something that really caught fire in the classroom and used them for teaching moments and turned them into an educational experience. The ones that used to, even as students, we would kind of laugh at as the teacher there'd be a big discussion going or something, and she would go, well, it's now time to turn our attention to page 42. It's like, no, don't do that. And in the past couple of weeks, I've been talking to a lot of teachers who said the same thing. They said, look, the best teaching I do is when it's unprepared, when we're doing something and suddenly it goes down a strange road, students are interested, we get a debate going, and this bill wants to eliminate that. It doesn't want that conversation to happen.
Especially civic teachers, you know, who have, you know, current events that come up, or that students are engaged in something that happened in the news last night, and they want to talk about it. One of the best teachers I ever had, Professor Robert Clerico at WVU, he was a taught political science, used a Socratic method of asking questions. He would take us down one path and have us answer along those paths, and then he would start asking questions that would show you the other side of the story to help you understand how the process could work, or how to think about something differently. And isn't that the role of the teacher, to teach West Virginia children how to think critically, to make good decisions, and to be lifelong learners? This is a slap in the face to every good teacher in West Virginia.
The supporters of this, what they call it, the anti-stereotype bill, the transparency bill, the supporters say, well, all we're asking is for information to be published. There's no real mechanism for punishment. We just think the public ought to have a better understanding of it. The problem, it seems to me, Lisa, is in the environment that we're in these days. As I mentioned earlier, school boards have already become political battlegrounds.
Right.
And the public pressure from groups that want to control the school system from the outside is simply going to grow and grow, because they're going to get, and now we're talking about a snitch line, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, I heard Zukov might be talking about the Confederacy there. We better check on her.
I mean, it's crazy time.
Right. Well, if somebody's really interested in learning what West Virginia teachers are teaching, go out and look at the standards published on the state website that tell them what they have to cover. And, like we just talked about, you have a current event that comes up. You have a lesson plan. You have something published out online. And a student asks you about something that happened, and you might be able to bring something up on the internet that that you can look at to talk about what they've asked you about. But you can't do that now, because you can't go there because it wasn't published ahead of time. It ties their hands, and it hinders the learning process, Howard. I'm sorry, there's no way around it.
And it leaves that, it's a cliche, but it creates a chilling effect for teachers who say, I don't know, where's the line here? It's hard to know where the line is. If I
And
do
isn't
this,
that-
am I going to get in trouble? Am I going to lose my
Maybe
job?
that's the whole point. You know, we've been trying to move towards charter schools and the Hope
Mhm.
Scholarship and privatizing education in West Virginia. That might be the end goal, Howard. You know, I've always been about public schools are for the common good. We decided that in our country a long time ago. We pay taxes, you know, just like we do for our roads and our law enforcement. And, you know, I pay now, and I don't have kids in this system, but I'm helping out because that's what we decided a long time ago for the public good. Are we trying to privatize education, you know, because there's a lot of money to be made in it? Who knows? But, you know, there has to be some motivation to be going around these issues. I just don't get it myself.
Lisa, I got to move on. Anything else real quick? Any key issues you want us to be keeping an eye on or that you're keeping an eye on as we move forward?
Interesting. I'm interested about these tax cuts. I think, you know, it's always interesting in an election year to talk about this, and it's easy to talk about tax cuts, frankly, on both sides of the aisle when we have a huge influx of federal money. And I just worry about what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years when that money's gone. And, you know, and quite frankly, the tax cut, I voted against it last week on the floor of the House because it is a tax that benefits the wealthy much more than the, you know, I think somebody who makes $1 million a year will get a $63,000 tax cut, and somebody who makes $20,000 a year is going to get a $39 tax cut. You do the math, and you know, Eric Householder, the chairperson of the House Finance Committee, said, "Why do you want to penalize the wealthy? Why would you want to do that?" He made the statement himself. You know, this is about the wealthy. So beware, West Virginia, and things aren't always what they seem.
Tax cuts sound like a great idea, and everybody wants a tax cut because somehow it sounds like more money in my pocket. But the numbers that Kelly Allen gave us from the Washington Center on Budget and Policy last week when she was with us, the average family, not person, the average family will get about $88 a year. A year.
Yeah. A year.
Do the math on that. I mean,
exactly.
That's not putting money in your pocket. That's just, they're playing a game with you. And meanwhile, as you point out, those who are making the big money put real money back in their pockets. It's scary stuff. But Lisa, here's the bottom line. Until we're able to turn things around at the ballot box, we're not going to turn things around at the electoral board down there in Charleston. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Every teacher who's reached out to me, I say, look, elections have consequences. We've seen it happen in our area when they took out Ryan Ferns, when they took out Mitch Carmichael because they went against the teachers and were so against education, and they had the power to take them out. Let's face it, Howard. We all knew teachers. We all knew somebody who worked in the school system, a bus driver, a secretary, the lunch ladies, the custodians, those folks who take care of us day in and day out at the school level. We all know that if they vote, they can impact these elections. Do they care enough to do that and see where this is going? Are you going to look at your local and state politics and see what most impacts your life, or are we going to continue to be led down a path by federal issues that really don't matter quite as much in West Virginia? I just ask folks to really take a look at that when you're voting next time.
Lisa, always enjoy talking to you. I have to move on. We'll do it again soon. Appreciate you coming by today. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Lisa Zukoff, delegate from Marshall County, with us here this morning on the Watchdog Morning Show. Way behind time. Biff is yelling at me. You can't hear him, and I can't hear him, but I can picture him. He's in the studio going, come on, move it along. So let me take a news break, get some Mountaineer reporting here from Tony, and Brad McElhaney is coming by to talk some more about what's going on down in the legislature as the Watchdog Morning Show for this Valentine's Day continues.
Now it's time for your local news headlines from 7 News at WTRF, My Ohio Valley, and ABC Ohio Valley. Only on AM 1600 WKKX. The Watchdog.
Good Monday morning and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I'm Stephen Ruffin with your 7 News headlines. Another blow to the Ohio Valley's industry as Fallon's Bee's Coke plant will close permanently next month. But what does it mean for the community? The former Wheeling-Pittsburgh Steel Coke plant in Follinsby is shutting down in the second quarter of 2022. The parent company, Cleveland Cliffs, expects all companies will have job opportunities at their other nearby facilities. However, when a company with nearly 300 employees closes its doors, many wonder how it will impact the local community and businesses within it. Owner of Follinsby Flowers, Casey Marino, says she's been worried sick about it. Local residents say it's important to their family's life. It looks like we'll be taking yet another hit when we fill up our tanks. The average nationwide price of gas is now at $3.55. That's a spike of 15 cents in less than a month. Analysts say it's because crude oil costs are still rising. Diesel took a hit too, rising 21 cents over the same period of time. Energy has always been a big driver of the Mountain State's economy. Senator Shelley Moore Capito is showing support for something a little different from coal. Days after Governor Jim Justice ended the ban on nuclear power in the state, Capito says it could be a step forward toward a smaller environmental footprint. Would also demand more jobs to both build and run the nuclear plants. That was a look at your headlines. Have a great day and a great Valentine's Day, everyone.
The Mountaineers look for a victory against the Wildcats. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger.
At Kroger, fresh groceries are our thing. So we do freshness checks on the items in your delivery order at every step of their journey from our farms to our stores. And pick and pack every blue, raz, and strawberry in your free pickup order with the utmost care. Because we believe in treating your food the same way we'd want ours to be treated. It's the golden rule, only for like fresh fruit and stuff. Order now using the mobile app. We're fresh every day, so shop anyway. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
42 million Americans struggle with hunger, yet 35% of the food in this country is wasted. Those aren't just numbers, they're our neighbors, your daughter's friend from school, the family of 4 next door. The Kroger Company's Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Foundation is committed to making fresh food accessible to all by ensuring it never goes to waste. Together, we can help end hunger. Learn more at zerohunger.zerowastefoundation.org.
It is game day for the Mountaineers. West Virginia closing this 2-game road trip tonight in Manhattan, Kansas, as they take on the Wildcats of Kansas State. Our pregame coverage will begin at 6 p.m. with their opening tip set to go at 7. West Virginia will be trying to bounce back from one of their poorer performances of the season back on Saturday. Oklahoma State rolled over West Virginia by a final score of 81-58. The Mountaineers trailed by just 6 points at halftime, and then Oklahoma State took control in the second half, outscoring WVU 45-28. Shooting problems that have plagued WVU throughout the course of the season were once again apparent against Oklahoma State, and something that they will have to fix going into tonight's game. West Virginia shooting just 32% from the field against the Cowboys and just 26% from three-point range. On the other side, West Virginia's defense, pretty much a no-show, where the Cowboys shot 50% from the field in the opening half, 47% in the second half. WVU had 3 players in double figures against Oklahoma State. Off the bench came Malik Curry, scoring 13 points, all 13 of those in the second half. The other double-figure scorers, both Taz Sherman and Sean McNeil, they each finished up with 12 points. West Virginia enters tonight's game with a 14-10 overall record. They are 3-8 in Big 12 conference play. To say that West Virginia needs a win this evening against K-State would be a classic understatement. Once again, our pregame coverage tonight begins at 6 o'clock with the opening tip set to go at 7. We invite you to join us right here. That is today's Mountaineer Report. It's brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Being young protects us kids from a lot of things. Like paying bills. And boring meetings. Blech. But there's one big thing being young doesn't protect us from. That's COVID.
Since August, COVID has made an average of 100,000 kids a week sick.
But now, kids 5 to 11 can get a vaccine tailored to give us the best protection.
For me. For us.
For kids.
We can do this. Find a vaccine near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You can listen to The Watchdog on your Amazon personal assistant. Just say, Alexa, play WKKX from TuneIn, or play WVLY from TuneIn.
Broadcasting from the Ohio Valley, talking about the Ohio Valley. We're live and local. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Super Bowl Monday. We're still reflecting on the big game from yesterday, the ads, the halftime show, the game itself. You want to talk about it, you can text me, 304-214-1600. It is Valentine's Day, and I'm looking for your thoughts on the most romantic place to have dinner today here in the Upper Ohio Valley for Valentine's Day. And, of course, I guess romantic is as romantic does, as I mentioned. I remember one time when I was just a young pup. Dating in my dating days, the romantic dinner we had was DeCarlo's Pizza in the car. So romantic dinners can mean different things to different people. But text me, 304-214-1600, your thoughts on places for romantic dinners here in the Ohio Valley. I have business meetings tonight. I know that sounds terrible on Valentine's Day. So my wife and I went out over the weekend, actually a couple of times for dinner. So tried to make up for not being here today by taking her out a couple times over the weekend. And I hope she enjoyed it because, boy, did I like that food. Hey, a lot going on down in Charleston, and some of it I am thoroughly confused by. Brad McElhenney is here. Let's see if he can help me sort some of this stuff out. Brad, good morning. Welcome to the show. Happy Valentine's Day, sir.
Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day to you. We also did the Valentine's dining outing, actually 2:30 p.m. Sunday, we went out for our Valentine's dinner, which maybe tells you about the age I'm getting to be. But the Monday evening Valentine's, that's hard, man. That's hard.
Yeah, my Monday evening is going to be expended at two different meetings. So I'll be at the Planning Commission of the city and some other things. So, but my wife knows that.
It's romance like caring for your community.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We did have a nice big dinner on Saturday. Went to Red Lobster. Now, I wouldn't call that romantic necessarily, but boy, was it good.
Yeah.
And we went to breakfast yesterday after church, which we haven't done that for a good while. Went to breakfast up at the West Sports Bar, run by my friend Charlie Schlegel. And I did one of those things where you look at the menu and go, yeah, I want I had the Captain Crunch French toast. So I want the Captain Crunch French toast. And, let me have a side order of the corned beef hash and a side order of bacon and maybe a pancake. Well, it came, and each single item was enough for a meal and a half.
You're going to have your carrots and celery today.
I think I'm going to have to do something. Yeah, and when you, but just, you order and you think, no, I want that. And they call them, quote, side orders. They're not supposed to be giant plates full of food, but hey, it was really good anyway. Hey, let me throw a couple of things that I don't understand and see if you can help me with them down in Charleston. And I guess the first question is, where did this come from? And the second point is, what does it mean? And that is the repeal of the ratification of the ERA? What the heck is that all about?
You have the same question I do, and that was a resolution that the Senate passed on Friday, and I heard it blow past me. I often don't really tune into the resolutions because they're often like naming bridges and stuff.
Right.
But my ears perked up at that one, but there was no argument over it, and I'm thinking, well, it must not be controversial if no one argued. And then I went and I read the text because, the deal with the Equal Rights Amendment is that a certain number of states had to ratify it for it to actually go into effect and for it to alter the U.S. Constitution. And it never reached, so far, the number of states required to become an actual amendment to the Constitution. And so I kind of wondered about it, and then read the text. It seemed to be saying something about, all right, well, you know, West Virginia's ratification that was passed in 1972 only had until 1979 to go into effect. And then it basically says, we just want you to know. And so later, after the fact, it was sort of characterized as rescinding West Virginia's ratification. But I read it to be more like, we are officially telling the powers that be that it is not 1979 yet, and so West Virginia's ratification would not be in effect. I learned even later after the fact that this is like a national phenomenon, that it's taken, you know, you heard me say 1972, it's taken so long to reach the number of states that it has appeared that America has finally hit that point, with some formerly very conservative states becoming a little more liberal, like Virginia. Virginia recently passed the ERA ratification. So in response to some states coming around belatedly, other states that have gone the other way, like West Virginia, are being encouraged to make their prior ratifications less than official. And somewhere someone has to count the number of ratifications and determine if the ERA is legitimately going to be reflected in the U.S. Constitution. But I'm a little bit like you. The reaction to it was after the fact. The Democratic Party, Belinda Biafore and Mike Pushkin, issued a statement saying that they were just appalled that the state Senate's GOP majority would, you know, they kind of simplified it to say rescind West Virginia's ratification of the ERA. And then I think Senate Minority Leader Baldwin put out a statement, maybe upon being asked about it. But anyway, it was just this sort of slow burn about, well, what the heck happened? What is going on? What does this even mean? And I mean, I'm with you on it. I'm going to need to dwell on this a little more, I think.
I just don't understand. I mean, I guess I do understand, and I think maybe you hit the nail on the head. There are some states that once upon a time had said no, now they're saying yes, and so West Virginia has so dramatically changed its demographics, its political demographics since the 70s, that, you know, it was probably an easy pass in the 70s, and now it's, we don't believe in this anymore. It's, but can we go back? Well, I guess the answer is yes. Can we go back and rewrite history? And God help us, why? You know, don't we have enough to worry about without worrying about rescinding our previous passage of the ERA?
You know, my colleague, Stephen Allen Adams, covered the story on Friday, and he did a nice job trying to tell people what was going on. And then he tweeted about it, saying that he got pushback from, I think, a national right-to-life organization, that he had used the term rescinded. And I think that's splitting hairs. I think what the resolution did was say, all right, there was a 1979 deadline to get this thing passed among all states, and I think they were saying that West Virginia's passage in 1972 would not be valid anymore because of the 1979. So I think it was not, I'm sorry, listeners, but I think it was not necessarily rescinding, but that's a weird thing to be splitting hairs on. I mean, one way or another, it's I take it to be West Virginia's current GOP majority at least weighing in to say, we don't think that the United States of America needs an equal rights amendment. So whether you're rescinding that or you're at least expressing no support for it, that's the bottom line, isn't it? You think, all right, we don't need an ERA.
Brad, there are just so many things popping up that have been surprising to me. You and I talked early in the session about how things sort of seem to be a little bit off and also a little bit quiet early in the session. You know, there was no State of the State address to be the big kickoff thing. I think that left things in a feeling weird. A lot of the important legislation that the governor wanted was done before the session started. And then it just kind of, with the exception maybe of the abortion issue, just sort of wandered around for a while. But in the last couple of weeks, it's like, whoa, what is all this stuff they're throwing out? And some of it I get, they're revisiting the income tax cut, which I think the House actually has approved now, correct?
The House approved that on Friday, so it goes into the Senate where its future is much less clear.
We are seeing the huge debate over the anti-critical race theory bill. That's what I call it, the anti-transparency bill, whatever. We're seeing that huge debate. Critical race theory, at least, has been kind of hovering over in the background for a while. But then, like, this ERA comes out of nowhere. Something else that came out of nowhere to me is an effort to turn school board elections into partisan elections. They are nonpartisan races now. I didn't see that one coming either, an effort to have a constitutional amendment to make school board elections political.
Yeah, and I mean, do you hear that in your community among the people? I wish I knew more about the
Not
third
once.
party of my school board candidate.
Not once. Not a single time have I heard someone say, boy, I wish I knew if they were Democrat or Republican.
Yeah, so a couple things. I think that may be a side effect of a couple of other sort of national overriding issues. I think, the masks in the classroom issue is where that is coming from in part. And, you mentioned critical race theory. I think that's another one where there is a desire among the political class to be able to sort of do shorthand for what you're going to get out of a school board member. Are you going to be for mask mandates in the classroom? Are you going to be for diversity training or anti-racism lessons in the classroom? And I think that's where this really lies. But, what I was telling Hoppy when we just dealt with it for a minute on Friday, the proponents say, all right, if I don't have the time in my life to necessarily review the positions of the members of the school board before I go vote, and it would help me to see an R or a D, and then I would know. Maybe I don't know the individual member, but I know what R or D means. But it seems like in West Virginia we're getting to the point with the R's that we used to be with the D's, where the political philosophy is such a wide range that, the R may be that it may be the dominant party, but it can range all the way from really, really right wing, particularly on social issues, to, very moderate, the pejorative Republican in name only, or even former Democrats can now be in R. So, I wonder as a voter if it's really going to help.
Well, I know this, and I'm a guy who pays attention to this sort of thing. On our local school board, Ohio County School Board, for example, there are some members I know where they stand politically because they are political people in other arenas. But a lot of school board members over the years that I've worked with, I never did know what their political background was. I just knew they had an interest in the schools, and I could see how they voted. And frankly, I've often seen people on a school board vote what might be considered traditionally Democrat one way and Republican another way, depending on the issue. And I think if you put the letters after their names, it locks them in a lot more, and they're not as flexible, and maybe can't be as free thinking. But it's going to require a constitutional amendment. So they have to pass putting an amendment on the ballot. Then it has to pass the voters. I don't know, Brad. It's just the last couple of weeks have been weird to me. That's all I can say.
Well, weird and maybe getting weirder.
All right, listen, I'm out of time. Sorry I kept you. I didn't get to you in time. I apologize. We'll talk again later in the week. Thanks a lot, Brad. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Howard. Happy Valentine's Day.
You too. 9 o'clock on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
Vehemently denying.
I'm glad Gene called. I like to get calls from new people, even though he's an old person. But he really threw me off my schedule. I'm going to go talk to Teddy. I'll be back in a minute, Biff.